Love yourself. You don't need to seek validation from people to feel loved. Yes, it boosts your confidence to hear compliments, to hear something positive about you, to hear reassurance. But what happens when you don't hear none of that? Would you still have the same amount of confidence and trust in yourself? Loving yourself means loving your flaws and accepting your imperfections. Because as Vusi Tembegwayo once said, if something is perfect, it's dead. You can't work on it anymore or try to develop it any further. So being imperfect is okay as long as you are willing to improve yourself, because it means you get to evolve as a person, which gives you enough room to work on yourself and mold yourself to however the best version of yourself looks like. That's also where self-appreciation comes in, which is described as acknowledging and celebrating your strengths, worth, and uniqueness. Acknowledging yourself through self-praise, by reflecting on your accomplishments and areas where you can improve. Doing affirmations to build up your self-esteem and confidence within yourself, and loving your true identity, without comparing yourself to others. It means being limitless because you get to explore many options without being caged in. And like the saying goes, we never stop learning. No matter what age you are, there's something you don't know yet that you can later learn about. That's why it's encouraged to read books, to learn a new skill, to stimulate your mind for better focus or concentration. The more your mind is active, the more creative you become, because you are feeding your brain so that it works hand in hand with you, so that it can be helpful later, in life. It's like growing a plant. You water them, you give them sunlight, for them to give you fruit or vegetables or beautiful flowers. Same with our minds. When we nourish our brains, we challenge it to do activities that stimulate it. It benefits you by keeping your brain sharp all the time, and it improves your focus and improves your memory. That's why you have to take time to get to know who you are and be honest about it. Don't mask anything, don't try to be cute about it. Be truthful to yourself, and you'll avoid a lifetime of confusion about who you are and what you stand for as a person. You need to learn to accept who you are whilst working towards the person you'd like to be. The more we learn about ourselves, the better we become, and make better choices for ourselves. We love ourselves better by setting boundaries and saying no to things that bring no value to your life. No align with who you are as an individual, because sometimes we are too scared to stand up for ourselves and our beliefs, and we end up saying yes when we really want to say no, which is basically betraying ourselves and causing internal conflicts, within ourselves. Because if you don't like something or agree with something, why would you say yes to it? We need to stop living to please other people, for the sake of peace, because your internal peace is more important. That's where your focus should be. Say no to things that disturb your emotions and serenity. Sometimes you have to turn a blind eye to things that will make you step out of character or force you to become something you're not. Especially when you are angry or upset, you lose your self-control, and act out of emotions instead of acting logically. So instead of reacting impulsively, you can step away from the situation and take a few deep breaths, to calm yourself down. Even if it makes you look weak, fact is you are smarter and more in touch with yourself than anyone else around you. Another way is to choose yourself more and put yourself first. Start doing what feels right with you instead of trying to impress other people or living life based on their expectations. Sometimes it feels like we are giving and life just keeps on taking. Sometimes we give it our all and receive nothing in return. And it's exhausting and mentally draining, because every day it feels like we are in a constant battle with ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions and feelings. and with the people around us, and with life in general. It even feels impossible to rely on our emotions because every day is different, and that requires or challenges you to be a different person. Because one day you wake up in a very good mood, very energetic and ready to take on the day, and the next day you just feel gloomy, tired, and just not in the mood. And most of the time, we mistake this feeling with depression. But unlike depression, this is a temporary feeling that comes and goes every so often. You just have to have a way of dealing with it, when it comes, such as taking a walk, exercising, or engaging in activities that will keep you and your mind busy. We must learn to look for contentment and love, in ourselves. We should learn to love ourselves and let it be enough. I don't know if anyone has ever felt it, but do you know that feeling you have when you are single and you just can't stand being alone because it requires you to spend more time with yourself? I mean, it's okay, to want companionship, but it becomes dangerous when it's now in need. It's like putting your happiness in the hands of someone else because you've never spent enough time by yourself and learned how to make you happy. You've never learned, how to compliment yourself, entertain yourself by creating hobbies because you always avoid spending time alone, with your emotions or with your thoughts. And when we self-reflect, we might actually uncover why we run away from solidarity so bad that we find comfort, safety, and happiness in the company of someone else. When that person doesn't text you or call you or answer your calls, you are just a sad person, that keeps on looking at the phone, hoping that, you see their call or text. Or you always want to be around people to keep yourself entertained. Their absence, absolutely devastates you because you can't stand being alone. It's like you depend on them to determine how you're going to feel for the rest of the day. And that's just not healthy because it means you are emotionally vulnerable. These are some of the things to consider to better love yourself or to pour more into yourself. Number one is, practice spending time with yourself. Do not depend on others to a point where you use them for balance and you fall when you are not next to them. Learn to stand on your own so that when people come into your life, they become an addition to what you've already built instead of them being the foundation. That way you won't fear their absence because you've already built a home within yourself first. They can then decorate the rooms, but the walls will be yours. Even if they decide to up and leave one day, you won't crumble, you will still be standing. Forgive yourself and heal from your past. We often replace instead of heal. When we lose someone, we replace them in order to move on, without actually doing some self-introspection and allowing ourselves time to process the thoughts and emotions we are going through. We jump to the next best thing so that we can quickly move on without, dealing with the aftermath, because sometimes what we went through just hurts too much that we just want to forget about it. Imagine having a wound that is not healed, but it has to go through the very same experience or process, that wounded it in the first place. Will that wound close up or heal? Or will it get bigger than it was initially and become worse? If we don't nurture, and care for that wound until it closes up, we risk having it open again and not ever healing. It's the same thing with our emotions. When we suppress them, instead of dealing with them, attending to them, they last longer and they can have a negative impact in the future. Get to know yourself all over again based on your experiences and lessons you've learned. What is it that you realized you enjoy doing, or what is it that you will never tolerate again? What people are you going to allow in your life and which ones are not welcomed? The more we live and experience life, the better we understand what works for us and what doesn't. Understand your thoughts, your feelings, and emotions. Know what sets you off and what makes you feel awesome, so that you can avoid what sets you off and do more of what makes you feel good and happy. Number 5 is to practice self-care. Take care of your mental health, your physical and your emotional well-being. Do things that make you happy and excited. Buy that pair of sneakers that you've always been wanting. Go to that restaurant and order exactly what you're craving for. Do your nails, do your hair, put on that new outfit that's been sitting in your wardrobe for that special occasion. Put on that makeup, even if you have no plans of going out. It's the little things we take for granted that lift our spirits up and, boost our confidence. Chase your goals and dreams. Focus on developing yourself, go back to school if you have to. Apply for that job, start that business you've been thinking about, because there's no better time than now. And if you want something done, you have to do it now. Start small, and eventually, what you do will build up, and become what your end goal looks like. Build healthy relationships, whether it's with family, friends, your partner, spend time with the people who are genuine, who value you, respect you, and love being around you. People who bring out the best part of you, and who are good at communicating with honesty, who listen to you when you need to vent or when you need solid advice. People who are good at solving conflicts in a respectful manner. Honestly, life is hard as it is. You don't need things and people to make it even worse. So choose people who bring you peace, and focus on showering yourself with love, because there's nothing more fulfilling than being content and happy with yourself, because you take better care of yourself. You know what you want and you are not scared to get it, So that makes you radiate positive energy and confidence. You strive for excellence and success. Once you reach that level, nothing will stop you, from reaching your full potential, which is exactly what we want. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Mwah.